We are the ones, we've been waiting. We are the ones, we are the ones, we've been waiting. We are the ones, we are the ones, we've been waiting.
We are the ones,
we are the ones, we've been waiting.
We are the ones,
we are the ones, we've been waiting for.
We are the ones,
we are the ones, we are the ones, we've been waiting for.
Are the ones,
we are the ones, we are the ones, we've been waiting for.
We are the ones,
we are the ones, we've been waiting for.
We are the ones,
we are the ones, we've been waiting for. We are the ones, we are the ones, we've been waiting for. We are the ones, we are the ones, we've been waiting for.
Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston. We extend a heartfelt and inclusive welcome to all of those of you who wish to join us today for meaningful worship and service in the world. We greet everyone here today in the sanctuary and those of you who are joining us online as well. We are so glad you're here. Today's service, we will be working to connect with our home, the earth, and reflecting upon how we can have hope for the future. Our service is multi-generational, and we are happy to have children with us and delighted to have youth helping us lead our service. Whether you're here or at home, we offer all ages an opportunity to color during the service. You'll find materials for coloring in every other pew. Welcome again, and now please join me in body or spirit by rising to sing our opening hymn, 1064, Blue Boat Home.
Below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my brother, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding
Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you express your identity, whatever your situation in life, whatever your experience of the holy, your presence here is a gift. Whether you are filled with sadness or overflowing with joy, needing to be alone with yourself or eager to engage with others, you have a place here. We are all welcome here.
Celebremos compartiendo nuestras vidas, encendiendo esta luz.
All this month, we've been talking about stewardship for the church. Today, we talk about stewardship of the earth and how the congregation has taken many steps to help the environment.
I have a winter garden with greens, with lettuces and kale and chard.
That we care for the earth is taking old t-shirts and turning them into reusable bags.
And I try to recycle all of my aluminum cans and glass bottles.
We just changed all of our light bulbs at First Church from incandescent and fluorescent into LED. That our actual cost savings over 30 years is $762,000.
And I do vegan cooking classes for the environment and your health.
So one specific thing I have asked our family's financial advisor to do is to remove any of our retirement funds that have been invested in traditional oil and gas and fossil fuel industry funds and have moved those over to solely renewable energy funds.
I have organized an event for people from First Church to go and plant trees along with the City Department of Parks and Recreation, which wants trees to be planted along the bayous.
And I'm trying to bicycle or take public transportation nearly everywhere as I go.
The compost dirt is really great for the garden once it's decomposed. That's what I have over here.
Please consider checking out the electric cars. We save energy by drying our laundry outside, and our clothes also last longer because where do you think that lint comes from?
I hear a voice on the wind telling me to slow down, says sit a while in the shadows till the sun goes down, all the way down. I hear the darkness speak as colors leave the sky, says let me tell you a story as day turns to night, as the moon rises high. Once upon a planet, once upon a time, all this sound and fury were not yours or mine. From the beginning of time, we grew out of the ocean, came out onto the land. We are not more important as woman or man than the water or sand. Don't forget to dream. You know what it means to keep me afloat. Don't give hear a voice on the mountain. It's a song upon the wind. It's a message our ancient mothers are trying to send to help us to mend. They say, come together in your sadness. Let your tears start to flow. Salt in the water come through us into the sea below. Our bodies are part of the ocean. Our bodies are part of the land. Remember the sacred, the precious we hold in our hands. We must do what we can. Don't forget to dream. You know what it means to keep me afloat. Don't give up hope. Don't forget to dream. You know what it means to keep me afloat. Don't give up. Don't give up hope.
Please join me in the spirit that some call prayer and others name meditation. Open yourself to the wonders and mysteries of the world. Open yourself to compassion and empathy. Take one breath. Take another. Center yourself. Spirit of life, which today let us be wise enough to name as the earth upon which we stand, the sun whose warmth greets us upon rising, the miracle that is water, the necessity that is oxygen. Stir within us as we hold this Earth Day service. Remind us that we are all interconnected. The air I breathe, the water I drink, the ground upon which I stand, I share with each of you and all the earth's beings. Remind us that in this time of crisis and turning, future generations are calling upon us to do what we can to lessen the impact of climate change and walk lightly upon the earth. Remind us that we already know what must be done. Hold corporate power accountable, transition to green energy, hold each other in compassion, and make choices so that we can reduce our carbon footprints. Inspire us, which is to say, help us pay attention to the air we breathe, for inspiration comes from spirit, and spirit comes from breath, so we might each be part of the great turning that is to come. That it might be so, I invite the congregation to say, Amen. We pause now together to lift up that which sits heavy and light upon us. We lift up Charles Story, Dale's father, who is recovering from a fall. I invite you now to say or bring to mind those you wish to be held in the loving embrace of this religious community. In this great cloud of witness and memory, amid this beloved community, we hear these names and hold them in our hearts. Let us extend our empathy to all the suffering that remains unspoken, and celebrate all the joy that remains unknown to all of us within our community. And now we will move into a time of silence. Since this is an intergenerational service, you may decide to stay seated and feel the chair beneath you, breathing in and breathing out. Or if you prefer, you can move to the aisle for a yoga pose, maybe the tree pose. Let us pause now in awe and wonder of the beauty, diversity, and mystery that is life. In the spirit of love, in the spirit of hope, in the spirit of compassion, let us enter into a time of silent meditation, reflection, or prayer.
In the quiet of this place, let this moment filled with grace. This is my prayer. This is my prayer. May the sense of mystery guide us through our journey. This is my prayer. This is my prayer. This is my prayer.
Each week, our morning offering is shared with an organization that shares our Unitarian Universalist values, and through which we may live out our principles in the world. This week, that organization is West Street Recovery. Their mission is to connect communities to the resources that they need to not only rebuild after climate disasters such as Hurricane Harvey, but to build communities that are resilient, secure, and stronger than before. West Street Recovery was formed during Hurricane Harvey by a group of people who came together to perform rescues, distribute food and water, and meet the needs of flood survivors. Since then, West Street Recovery has grown into a horizontally structured and worker-directed disaster recovery nonprofit, which uses Hurricane Harvey home repair and community engagement to build more broadly towards social justice and an equitable recovery. Those in our sanctuary will find the instructions for text giving in the order of service, and those watching the live stream will see the instructions on your screen. Our regular Sunday morning offering collection invites us to weave a tapestry of love and action. We ask you to give generously. An offering will now be gratefully received.
Please join with me in the words to dedicate our offering found in your order of service. To the work of this church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings.
This is How We Are Called by Kimberly Bayer Nelson. In the hours before the birds stream airborne with chiming voice, a silent breath rests in the pines and upholds the surface of the lake as if it were a fragile bubble in the very hand of God. And I think this is how we are called, to cup our hands and hold this peace, even when the sirens begin, even when sorrow cries out, old and gnarled, even when words grow fangs and rend. Cupped hands gently open, supporting peace like the golden hollow of a singing bowl, like the towering rim of mountains cradling the slumbering and mist-draped valley.
Our second reading is a responsive reading that comes from The Ideas About Active Hope by Joanna Macy. Words are found in your order of service. I will read the regular print, and please read the words in bold italics. Active hope is not wishful thinking.
Active hope is not waiting to be rescued by the Lone Ranger or by some justice.
Active hope is waking up to the beauty of life on whose behalf we can act. We've come a long way and are here to play our part. With active hope, we have strengths to discover and comrades to link arms with. active hope, a readiness to discover the reasons for hope and occasions for love. My bad. I'm sorry, y'all. The unsuspected deep well of patience and diligence, the keenness of our senses, and our capacity to lead. None of these can be discovered in an armchair or without risk.
Please join us by turning in your hymnal to number 131, Love Will Guide Us, gray hymnal. And please stand as you are willing or able. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from creed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Once upon a time, all the birds in the land decided they needed a leader for their community. A leader, they thought, would make the community stronger. Representatives of all the bird species gathered to discuss finding a leader. A leader will tell us the right things to do, said the robin. A leader must be wise, said the owl. A leader must believe we are each important, big and small, said the sparrow. I want to be caring like a friend, said the dove. Yes, the leader helps us share and get along better, said the jay. The leader must make us feel safe, said the hawk.
I know where you can find such a leader, said the hoopoe bird. It is the sycamore, and it lives far from here.
The birds were very excited. They said they're willing to go anywhere to find such a leader.
It might be dangerous, said the hoopoe.
A few birds looked troubled, but all the birds voted to go find the simorgh. The hoopoe took off, and all the birds followed. They flew at night. They flew in sunshine. Days and days passed. Some of the birds got tired and left the group. Other birds were filled with doubt. How did they know the simorgh really existed? Only the hoopoe had ever heard of this bird. Some of the doubters dropped out, but others kept flying. One valley was filled with fiery mountains. All the birds were afraid. "I'm too small to make it over that mountain," lamented the sparrow. "No, keep flying. We can make it together. We will help you," said the hawk. And they did. The strong flyers helped the weaker flyers. The birds with good vision helped find food for the group. Along the journey, the birds learned how to better respect, share, and care for each other. It seemed that every bird had something special and unique to offer that made the journey easier. Finally, the hoopoe announced,
"We're here."
The other birds looked around in anticipation. The jay asked, "Where is the simorgh? We don't see it."
"Come, it is over here."
The birds stood beside the hoopoe and realized they were on the edge of a lake. They looked in and saw their own reflections. Then they understood. The simorgh was not another bird. The simorgh was all of them, and all of them were the simorgh. They remembered that each of them had something good and strong and special inside of them, and that each bird had gifts to bring to the community. They were all that was needed to keep the community strong. They knew now that together they could do anything.
What action am I taking to reduce my carbon footprint?
Well, of course we recycle.
Recycling prevents the emissions of many greenhouse gases and water pollutants and saves energy.
Using recovered material generates less solid waste. Also, when products are made by using recovered rather than virgin materials, less energy is used during manufacturing and fewer pollutants are emitted.
We also use biodegradable poop bags for our daily walks.
For the dogs, honey.
Ah, yes, of course, the dogs. The humans are house-trained.
We also insulate our home and use a tankless water heater.
All insulation materials reduce pollutant and greenhouse gas emissions by reducing heating and air conditioning requirements for a building.
Since tankless water heaters only operate when there's a hot water demand, they consume much less energy than conventional systems. Additionally, tankless water heaters produce fewer carbon emissions than their traditional counterparts.
But the biggest impact we make as individuals is living a vegan lifestyle.
Eating a vegan diet could be the single biggest way to reduce environmental impact on Earth. Researchers at the University of Oxford found that cutting meat and dairy products from your diet could reduce an individual's carbon footprint from food by up to 73%.
Did you know that you save more water by not eating a pound of beef than if you stopped showering for 6 months?
Did you know that if every American ate one fewer chicken meal per week, the carbon dioxide saved would be equivalent to removing 500,000 cars off the road?
Did you know that more than 70% of the grains grown in the United States are fed to farmed animals?
Here are some of the worst offenders when it comes to greenhouse gas emissions.
This graph includes processing, transporting, and waste removal.
This graph comes from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN.
What goes into producing 1 pound of beef? 2,900 gallons of water, 25 pounds of feed, 1,345 square feet of land, and that does not include processing, transporting, and waste removal.
I know we're getting a bit preachy, but here's one last interesting statistic.
Did you know that you could remove 1 ton of carbon emissions by switching from a regular car to a hybrid?
Did you know that you can remove 1.5 tons of carbon emissions by going vegan?
Now you know.
This is how we are called, to cup our hands and hold this peace, even when the sirens begin, even when sorrow cries out, old and gnarled, even when words grow fangs and rend. These words, Kimberly Bayer Nelson, and this is how we are called, speak to me this morning. It is a time of sirens and sorrow crying out. And I find it hard to hold peace when there is so much happening and so much to lose. But we are the ones we've been waiting for. The mayor, the city council members, governors, legislators, CEOs of company, and the very rich, the likes of Bezos and Musk, they have more power than any of us, especially as individuals. They are the ones that create most of the shifts in culture and policy in huge measure. So how is it that we are the ones we've been waiting for? We could complain about the leaders' choices, rant in frustration. I've never done that. Tell our friends and those elected leaders should be doing something different, hours and hours of conversation about that. And we wouldn't be wrong. We wouldn't be wrong. Something I've learned so far as an activist is that trying to get our elected leaders to change, even to shift the limited pieces that are actually under their control, is very difficult and happens only under specific conditions. Especially these days, when democracy is so off balance and some elected officials don't feel the need to meet the needs of the constituents in order to get reelected. The Texas Metropolitan Organization, our church is involved with locally, has a model that works on specific votes relatively well, and small adds up. Small also matters to the folks who live in frontline communities who are able to benefit from the policy or initiative that gets pushed forward. For that reason, it is worth our time to make our voices heard. And because the changes at the city and state level are so much larger, they are worth trying to affect. And it just helps to be involved. It helps us to be known. It helps to develop relationships that over time can influence. We are the ones whose voices need to be heard. We are the ones who can change ourselves, which can affect the larger system. In my first job after college, I was a family therapist. I worked with parents whose children were struggling, having troubles. When the parents came to me, they wanted the children to change. But the best way to make their children's behavior change was not through my direct actions. I could meet with parents, meet with children, see if I could tell what dynamics were happening. I could likely help the parents to change. And I had to think about how that might make the parents feel blamed for the problem, since we were trying to explore their behavior and its role in the system. But I wasn't in any way blaming them. It is a deep truth that no one can change another person. We don't have control over that. We can only change ourselves. And it is through changing ourselves that we better influence others or create situations in which change can be more likely to occur. Knowing our own power in changing ourselves is how we can see ourselves as leaders, like the birds in our story this morning. Their journey made them realize what each brought to the community, and that together they could lead. We are the leaders we've been waiting for. And the truth is, members of our church have led and have affected change over and over again. We have some better
leaders in office than we did a few years ago, due in part to the work this church did before the 2020 election. Mostly we worked so that information on voting by mail and registering to vote was clear in both English and in Spanish, that potentially disenfranchised voters were supported throughout the process, and that registered voters were encouraged to develop a plan to vote. And we were successful. Our church community offers multiple avenues to make a difference, and often we do so in ways small and large. And we are beginning to work on elections again, this time for midterm. We focus on voting because it makes a huge difference when we have leaders who respond effectively to the very large problems that we face in today's world, including climate change. Members of our church have created change through their activisms in various ways over the years. I recently learned a story about how our climate team in 2006 was involved in creating a big shift away from coal energy, speaking out against then Governor Rick Perry's efforts to increase the number of coal plants. And it was also a time when the words global warming weren't even spoken in these circles in Texas. And that's something to celebrate and remember. Our members have also helped shift consciousness by getting noticed about our green efforts and by writing editorial letters to the Chronicle and by going monthly to City Council and bringing up climate change concerns and the need for the city to create a climate plan, which now they have. And you can be involved in these efforts with whatever time you have available. Visit our Justice Coordinating Council or our Climate Action Table after church today to get connected. What if we were all doing a little something? Of course, it would make a difference, and we can amplify it. I believe the way that we move to a more sustainable future is by each of us slowing down. And when we slow down and get quiet, when we reflect on the power we each have in this crazy big world, we can reflect, what do I have influence over in my life? Reflect on your circles of both small and larger influence. What are they? Maybe it's friends and family members, co-workers, people you volunteer with. When you see where you can influence, decide how you would like to encourage and inspire others. Choose something that brings some creativity and joy, that creates friendship and community, that increases health and extends vitality beyond your own. This is the way engagement brings energy to life rather than burnout. In our videos today, you have seen many of the changes that our own members have made in their daily lives. Some of these are creative. Some bring us closer to the earth and remind me of making mud pies when I was a kid or playing in the rain. Composting and worm farms come to mind. And some things our community are doing don't cost any money and just require some attention and time, like eating plant-based meals, taking public transportation, making sure food gets eaten instead of thrown out, turning down the thermostat, switching to green energy, using as little single-use plastic as possible, commuting by bike, giving up a car, that actually saves you money, volunteering for an environmental nonprofit. Some of the things our members shared, both here and on the carbon footprint out front, require money, but not time. So those may speak to you, like collecting water in a tank, buying carbon offsets, buying an electric car or solar panels. You can imagine, as these practices spread throughout our spheres of influence, we can create a tipping point. Our time is now. This is the time we've been waiting for. We will create resilience, reach for justice, mitigate our own carbon, change our habits, inspire each other, and make our voices heard. We will create more sustainable living, even if it's in the small pockets of our church, our own backyards, and our friendship circles. And through this, we discover the size and strength of our hearts. We discover the quickness of our mind and our steadiness of purpose and our own authority. We will feel our love for life and the liveliness of our curiosity, the unsuspected deep well of patience and diligence and our capacity to lead. And when you feel tired, you step back and the others in the group will step forward, keeping the march going. No one of us is alone. We are the ones we've been waiting for. The web of life is calling us forth at this time. We will heed the call. May it be so, and amen. We have our closing song now, and we invite you to open your order of service and find the words written on the insert. We shall be known by the company we keep. Stand if you wish, and we'll sing it through 3 times, feeling more inspired with each time. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round, tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive, it is time into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. Let me hear you. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who serve
printed on your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I have a short benediction here, usually like just one sentence. It's just go now and do better.
Thank you so much for watching our service today. We're glad you're part of our online community, where we welcome people who are diverse in faith, ethnicity, history, as well as gender identity and sexual orientation. There are many different ways you can get involved in our community. One you can do right now is by clicking like below or subscribing to our channel. If you're interested in joining our congregation, please email us at membership@firstgu.org. Thanks so much for joining us.